The basic selection tools will get the job done most of the time, but for more advanced selection requirements, you need to look beyond those tools to more advanced selection techniques. There are a couple of tools and a couple of menu commands that can make complex selections easier than ever. Let's take a look. I'm beginning this video with the selection_02.ai file already open on my computer. And as you can see, we have an arrangement of these shapes on our artboard that we now want to change or modify in some way. Let's start with the basics. If I wanted to select, say, these top 7 items, there's a couple of ways that I could do this. I could use my trusted selection tool, and I can click and then shift click each one to get them all selected. Another way I could do that, which is pretty quick, is I can click and drag using a marquee, and anything that falls within that marquee is going to get selected. So even though we're talking about more advanced tools in this video, the basic selection tool really does allow you to select a range of shapes using the marquee method. Now, the other tool I wanted to cover was one that's pretty cool, which is called the lasso tool. And the job of the lasso tool is to select any of the objects that fall within the selected area. So using my lasso tool, I can click and drag around an area to select a range of content. Now, the thing about this lasso tool is that it's very precise, and you'll notice that there are some paths, or I should say points on the path that got missed and some that got included. So you have to be careful what you select. You have to really make sure that you select the area precisely. So sometimes in cases like this, it may not be as easy. Now, what you could do is we could go a step further. Maybe we want to select our shapes by color. So what I could do is I can use my magic wand tool. And what I could do is I'm going to click on this first shape, and you're going to notice that the minute I click on that, all of the other objects that have the same fill color are going to get selected as well. So this is pretty cool. This is a great way that I can select objects of similar color. Now, we do have some controls with this tool. So if I double click on the magic wand tool, it's going to bring up the magic wand panel. And you can see that by default, it is only selecting content with the same fill color. And then there's also a tolerance built in here. So you can see the default tolerance is 20. Well, let's see how that works. I'm going to go ahead and drag the tolerance way down. I'm going to go ahead and drag it down to like 1. And I'm going to go ahead and click off of that, and I'm going to click back on it. So that worked pretty well. It's still selecting the shapes that I want it to. Let's try the yellow. You can see that's working. Let's try the green. Now, what the tolerance is essentially doing is the lower the number, the more closely other shapes need to match this particular color. Now, let's see what happens when I drag the tolerance way up. I'm going to drag this up to 100. And now when I click on an object, you can see it's selecting everything. So it's essentially being very tolerant of what the other colors are and including them in the selection. So you can make adjustments here. Like if I go down to, say, 60, and I click on a light green color, it's still including everything. So let's drag that down a little bit more. Let's go to 40. I'll click on my light green color. You can see now it's not including the red or the brown. Let's go down to 30. Go to light green. Now it's only selecting light green. So maybe if we adjust this somewhere in between, I can type in a value if I want to. You can see now at 35, it's selecting the light green, dark green, and yellow colors. So the magic wand tool can be very useful depending on what you're trying to select. So we can go ahead and change this back to 20, which is the default. And then for more complex selections, what you can also do is include a stroke color, a stroke weight. So I could say only shapes that also have a 5-point stroke applied, or increase the tolerance to more or less so that it includes varying stroke widths. I can also search by opacity, as well as blending mode. So this magic wand tool right out of the box does a pretty good job of allowing you to select the color that you're trying to change. But in addition, you can adjust the properties to include or not include other objects as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close that now. Now, the other way that we can select objects is I'm just going to grab my selection tool and select the brownish color here. What we could do is we can go to the Select menu, and we could choose Same, and then again we have very similar options as what we had inside of the Magic Wand panel. So if I choose Same Fill Color, as you might expect, it's going to select all of those brown shapes. And if I go to the Select menu, you can go to Same and choose Fill and Stroke, Fill, Blending Mode. All of these properties can be searched for. Now you can also go to Object, and you could say all objects that have all text objects, or all point type objects, or all bristle brush strokes. So you have a lot of ways that you can search for objects inside of Illustrator. Now, the other cool thing about the ability to select different objects using these techniques is that let's go ahead and choose the light green or lime green object, and I'm going to choose Select Same Fill Color. And what we could do now is maybe we want to make color adjustments. So we can come over to the swatches panel, and I think this color, instead of being like the lime green, let's go ahead and make that pink. And then we'll go ahead and select the dark green, Select Same Fill Color, and we'll go ahead and make this the teal color right here. And we can continue going down the road. Maybe this time I'll use the Magic Wand tool, and we'll make this orange. Maybe we'll select the brown and make that the lighter orange color. And let's see, we'll select the yellow, and we'll make that the dark blue color. So we just really adjusted the theme here. Now, you may not want to do this in a document like this, but what I'd like to show you is how we can save our selection. So with a bunch of objects selected, we can go to the Select menu, and I could choose Save Selection. And I'm going to call this selection Dark Blue Objects. And you go ahead and click OK. And let's go ahead and choose the red shapes. I'm going to go to Select, Save Selection, and I'm going to call this the Red Objects. There we go. Go ahead and click OK. Now I'll go back to my selection tool and click on an empty area so that I have nothing selected. And now if you go to the Select menu, you'll notice that we have those options right here at the bottom of the drop-down menu. So if I choose my dark blue objects, it's going to select all of those components without me having to manually select them in different areas. And one reason you might want to do this is if you have certain components in your artwork that are particularly difficult to select, even by color or stroke or fill. So once you select them, even if you have to do it manually, you can save that selection for future use. That way you don't have to manually select all those components each and every time, making it a lot easier to work on your content. As you can see, when it comes to more advanced selection needs, Illustrator has it covered. Using the Select Same commands or the advanced selection tools, and by saving your selections, you're sure to get the job done in no time at all.